HR professionals, we are responsible for managing the employee's life cycle from onboarding to offboarding. But while we are so busy supporting employees, how can we support ourselves? When our careers plateau, how can we boost our marketability and stay relevant? The answer? HR Certified. Whether you are new in your HR career or an experienced vet, HR Certified is here to support your HR career goals by helping you navigate the certification process. Why certify? Passing the certification exam gives you instant credibility, respect in the workplace, as you immediately apply new skills, making you better at what you do. Upward mobility, by enhancing your earnings potential and career autonomy. We offer on-demand and fast-track certification test preparation courses. At HR Certified, we fully embrace our role in bridging the gap between where you are and where you want to be. Join over the 500 graduates before you. Take the next step in your career. Get HR Certified. To learn more, please visit www.gethrcertified.com.
Welcome. My name is Anthony Howard. I am the founder, CEO, lead facilitator, and coach of HR Certified. And we all want to thank you so much for taking the time out today to talk about a very, very important topic, and one that's near and dear to this panel's heart. And that is in regards to HR certification. We all have heard your questions. We've heard all of the things that you had, in which can make this a little confusing. And so what better way than to bring together a panel of experts that has heard you, and for us to have a discussion about it. And more importantly, answer any questions that you may have as well. So if you're joining us on LinkedIn Live, on YouTube Live, on Facebook Live, please let us know that you're there. We're here for you. I see you, Jay, Sharita, Shalonda. Awesome. Test out your emoticon muscle skills. As we're talking, tell us how you feel about the topics that we're talking about. Hit the like, hit the celebrate. If you're confused, hit that button too. That's why we're here. Let us know that you're there. We're here to answer the questions that you have, right? So before we get started, wanted to definitely introduce all of you to our panel of experts. And experts of that we've been around enough to know about this landscape. And so what better way to be able to do that? And for me, my personal experience as it relates to certification is it was pivotal in me becoming the person who I am today. I wanted to be an elementary school teacher, and how I wind up through bizarro land. Now I'm teaching the grown folks, right? And teaching, and as it relates to preparing people to sit down for the all important HR certification exam. And I can tell you my personal experience with it is that it gave me the tools, resources that I need to be great in these HR environments. Fortunately enough, I did not have a mentor. I did not have a sponsor. I didn't even have a network of people in the HR field, right? I'm out on the outskirts trying to figure out how to get in. And this certification for me changed the whole thing for me. It allowed me to be able to navigate in spaces that I never thought possible, in biotech, biopharm. I've been a strategic business partner. I've been a director. I've been a consultant. All of those things I can link back foundationally to my process in earning, maintaining, certification. So it's personal for me. And I'm so glad. Who would have known in 2009 when I studied for what was just the PHR, HRCI, PHR, that will be in this landscape as we are today. So I am going to stop sharing the screen, and I want to go ahead and introduce you guys to the panel. Oh my goodness! So I'm gonna start off with Jennifer. Jennifer has joined us from HR.com. We had a previous event in which we talked about certification, and she popped and she engaged in the chat. And she said, "Anthony, send me the link for the next time you guys do this." And now she's here. Jennifer, please introduce yourself to us and why you're here in the panel.
Well, thanks so much for that really, really enthusiastic introduction, and thanks for having me. I'm really, really thrilled to be here. As Anthony said, my name is Jen, or better yet, you can find me on HR.com as well as on LinkedIn under my more formal name, Jennifer Morantz. I have the great pleasure of being on the HR.com team. HR.com is an all-in-one stop shop social media destination for HR professionals to help them really fulfill their greatest HR self. I am HR.com's exam preparations course designer and course director. We're really thrilled to equip professionals like yourselves, myself, and really this whole panel to be successful on any HR certification exam, whether it's HRCI or SHRM. And I'll just sprinkle this comment before I guess we continue with the introductions. I've been in the HR space now for 25 years. And I think that it's really, really important that as anybody is embarking on their journey towards certification, if you choose to go the path where you're going to surround yourself with fellow exam candidates, particularly those who have been through the journey, that you really get to take advantage of learning from their experience. And that's a tremendous value add. So thanks again for having me.
Jennifer, we're honored to have you here. Like even though we all are out to wanting to for people to see the value that we add independently with preparing HR professionals, we're still connected at the thread with our passion of providing this education and understanding what the benefits can do, right? So, and HR.com is a leader in this space as it relates to that. So thank you, Jennifer, for joining us. Terry, now Terry and I go back. We go way back to when I first started HR Certified. Actually, even before that, when I was a study group instructor for NAAA HR, in which we're extending that opportunity, and we just kept that same energy. And what I really pride HRCP in doing is being able to provide very comprehensive materials at an affordable price point, not only to their partners, but also to those that seek to do it on their own. And she's been an awesome partner to me and to my clients, as well as to HR Certified. Terry, pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, Anthony. I'm excited to be able to contribute a little bit to this conversation. Now, I go way back. I've been helping people with HR certification for 21 years now. And I don't know, I'm probably in the running for the most exams taken. I retake the exams on a regular basis in order to help update our material, cover the content that's being tested on the exam, to have that personal experience and be able to talk people through that process. We're the content provider. We work with HR Certified, HR.com, HR Education Network, among others that are teaching prep courses. And we also help people who just, for various reasons, need to do a self-study option. And we can help with that as well. But I'm happy to contribute and answer questions that that these attendees might have.
On mute. Yes, and so Terry has a unique perspective of also providing on what this landscape looked like before it did now. And so I'm looking for to help as it relates to kind of like the evolution of our HR certification landscape. Thank you, Terry, for being here. Stephen. Now, Stephen is from HR Mavericks, also from a HRS provider by the name of Edie. I actually ran into HR Mavericks from one of their members, in which they said, "Hey, you should join HR Mavericks." I said, "What the heck is HR Mavericks? I don't know what that is." And I clicked the link, and I have been an active member ever since. And so I have contributed. Some of my team members have contributed. I refer wherever possible. But I know that this is dumbing it down, but it's like HR, it's like Wikipedia for HR. You only thing you need to do is find out where it's at, and we can contribute to it. And it's so awesome. So Stephen, please introduce yourself to us.
Absolutely. Love the introduction. Wikipedia for HR is exactly what we're trying to build. Let me just take a step back for a second and just say how grateful I am to like talk to you guys, to be on this panel with each of you. There's like decades of experience in the HR space, especially in certification on this panel. So I think everyone's going to learn a ton, including myself. HR Mavericks is a community of HR professionals that is trying to democratize HR. It's basically all the professionals who have reached the status that these panelists have, and many of you have, are now looking back and saying, "Hey, how can I help out the person who's just getting started in HR, or someone who doesn't know something that I know about HR?" So we facilitate discussions like this. We have the world's largest HR encyclopedia with close to 700 articles on different HR topics. We do a weekly podcast that basically brings these experts in and interviews them. And our goal is to really just, sort of beyond, certifications a lot of the time are about knowledge, right? And so sometimes it's hard to find the money to get the certification that you need. And we feel like we can help those people out with this free resource. I shared a link that we can get added, but super excited to be here and talk about HR education certifications.
Yeah, I'm honored to have you here. I am so glad that a resource like this is out there for people who are even curious about HR, to know that we're more than hire, fire, interview. There's a lot of other things that's going on behind the scenes behind that, and for a way for us to contribute. I think all of us have a gift, and a gift is meant to be shared. What better way to do it than that way? So thank you. I think whoever's the brainchild behind that, and you being a host of it, being on your show a few times, you definitely have a lot to bring and contribute here. Thank you. Yeah. All right. Last but not least, Jessica from our strategic partner with HR Education Network. We go way back as well. Jessica, please introduce yourself to everybody.
Hi, guys. I'm so glad to be here. Any day I get to hang out with Anthony is a great day. It's been a lot of those lately. I know.
Yes, it has.
Yes. But yes, I'm with HR Education Network. We have, so I have kind of the weird HR, like kind of HR adjacent background. Actually, I'm not like a traditional HR professional. I actually, like Anthony, was in the, I was a teacher for a long time, and transitioned that into continuing education for adults. So that's kind of where I come from and where my passion is. And I have actually been working for a small company, HR Education Network. Our parent company is BPN, for many, many years, which is where I got into this crazy HR space. And we have just really loved getting to know HR over the last 6 or 7 years. And we provide recertification courses, as well as HR certification test prep courses with Anthony as one of our instructors. He's amazing. And we also partner with HRCP on an amazing conference coming up called HR Unboxed. It's going to be in April this year, so stay tuned for more information about that. It's free and provides recertification credits, and you're going to love it. but this is just like such an amazing space to be in. HR certification is something I personally am very passionate about. And Anthony can tell you, so I have put off for years and years and years, guys, earning my own HR certification. Anthony's shaking his head because like they've been telling me for years, I should do this. Terry as well. Like it's a whole thing. But I actually very recently went through the process of earning my own PHR, like as in this summer. I know. Woohoo! So so I know the process, guys. Like I am where you are now. If you are thinking about certification, like that's me. And I didn't have, like I said, a traditional HR background. So I had like a lot of learning to do. So if you are feeling that and that is where you're at right now, like stick with it. It's going to be amazing. But yes, I'm so excited to be here as well, to share my insights, my recent experience with certification and test preparation at a bigger level. Cause we kind of went the route of like, let's find the best, most amazing partners like HRCP and HR Certified to make the most amazing program. And it's just served us very well. So, thanks for having me, Anthony and friends. Like, this is so fun. Excited to be here.
Guys, y'all got quiet when we were introducing ourselves. We want to know about you. Where are you from? Where are you calling from? Where are you logging in from? What got you here? Where you have, I think Stephen introduced it. I'm gonna say it. You got hundreds of years of experience on this panel, y'all. We're dating each other, but this is the time. You know how like when you're at work and people start chatting about things, and it was like, well, this is probably not the best way to say it. You might want to go to the source. The source is here, y'all. No more rumbling, no more rumoring, no more. This is the time. This is the time. You got questions about HR certification? This is the time, right? So tell us where you're from, where and what have you here today, and what city that you reside. It's not just about us, it's about you. All right. So I want to just talk about one aspect on why HR Certified exists and how this kind of fits into the big picture of things. We have a vision, and our vision at HR Certified is to increase diversity within corporate HR departments. The data has it is that when corporations incorporate diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging concepts into their culture, they become an even better place to work. It is the objective for every corporation that employees will go above and beyond without being asked. And you do that by creating great work experiences. You do that by having a diverse workplace. And our belief, not only our belief, but the data has it, is that the more diverse a more diverse HR team will create great workplaces for everybody, right? That will also create better returns to the business. And our belief is through certification is one way in which diverse talent can enter this space. I am Exhibit A, right? So again, thank you all for joining us as it relates to that. And we wanted to share with you how this fits into why we exist, with why I'm passionate about this, right? All right. So let's get into the questions. Let's talk about a few things here. And I'm really excited to show this slide right here. All right. Let's have a real talk. A real talk. All right. I see you're from Huntsville. We got people here from Columbus, Georgia. That's right. Still East Coast. I know we got some West Coast people on here. I probably it's a little bit too early, but we got 4 questions that we're going to answer on this panel. All right. From Dallas, Texas. And the first one is, why is the U.S. HR certification landscape so confusing? I think what I wanted to do was kind of start off with Terry, with kind of talk about how it was and how it kind of evolved. Can you kind of set the landscape, kind of like the beginnings and now kind of the evolution to where it's at from your perspective?
Yeah, you bet. So Most of you are probably familiar with SHRM. SHRM is a national organization for human resources. And, I don't know, 45, 50 years ago, they created an organization called HRCI, Human Resource Certification Institute, to be the credentialing body for human resources. And so HRCI was created by SHRM. They worked in
I'm sorry. No. Let's stop. Did y'all hear that? HRCI was created by SHRM. Okay, go ahead, Terry. I need. Can somebody put that in the chat? Somebody put that in so I can amplify that. All right, that's very important here. All right, Terry, go ahead.
So over the years, SHRM and HRCI worked in tandem to promote certification, and SHRM was a leading provider of preparation for the HRCI exams. At the time, most of the exams were the PHR and the SPHR. Over the years, HRCI added additional certifications. In 2014, however, SHRM decided to create their own certifications, and they CI. And in 2015, SHRM started offering the SHRM CP and the SHRM FCP. And so we get a lot of questions about which exam should I take, which is most valuable, which is going to help me get the job I want. And the answer to that is it depends. It really depends on several different things. They're competing certifications, but honestly, they cover the exact same HR concepts. I've taken both exams from both organizations, and if you prepare for one, you're prepared for the other, right, Jen? Jen helps people in that process. She works with a lot of people that do get both certifications. Are both certifications necessary? No. And maybe Anthony, you're going to address this question, but maybe I'll just jump in and get a head start on this. If you are trying to decide between a SHRM certification or an HRCI certification, my recommendation is do a job search for jobs in your area and see what they're asking for.
That's right.
They are both good certifications. They test on the HR body of knowledge, and they are, at this point, they're being seen fairly equivalent. So most job postings will ask for either or that are asking for a certification.
Yeah. Terry, thank you for that history. I'm going to add a little color to it. And that color was the divorce between HRCI and SHRM was bitter, to say the least. It was bad. And the question that I have is, what's their relationship now? It doesn't seem it's too good. But also and the only reason why that's important is also it's in it. You know how, like, if parents fight, I don't care if you put that behind the closed door, the kids are still impacted, right? People still feel it, right? And so I can say I am about education. I'm about SHRM. It doesn't matter, SHRM, HRCI, whatever. But I feel, and I have felt this way, especially as a provider of education, that SHRM has it on lock. Meaning that if you are affiliated with anything else outside of SHRM, that one have nothing to do with you. That's the way it feels, right? I tried to become a provider, no response. It just sounds like there's an adversary type of approach that's there. And the reason why any of this is important is because this impacts people's decisions. It's like, well, if there's a monopoly or appearance of one, then there's a perception of one that's better than the other. And what I'm trying to, and I'm just bringing it up is, and Terry, I'm glad that you brought it up as well, is that from a provider standpoint, that the people that are in this for the right reason, they're going to tell you it don't matter SHRM or HRCI, just get one. and get the one that's more affiliated with where you want to go. And what I said is get the one. It's political. It is political. If somebody has a preference of one or the other, it is a political preference on one or the other. So what do you do as a one that's confused in this landscape? Get both. Get both, or get the one that's where you want to go. And make sure you get hooked up with a process that support either one. Right? So I don't know if anybody want to touch that, but I had to. Steven, don't you hear that with your people?
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, I mean, you can imagine why. I mean, the original question about confusing being like the word, right? Why is it so confusing? How do I know which one to get? You can just, I mean, I guarantee there's a team at HRCI and there's a team at SHRM, and they are just neck and neck trying to kill each other for your business, for your because eventually when you take their test and you put one of those or both those certifications after your name, you're going to give that certification more credibility because you're the awesome person who's gonna breathe that credibility into the certification over time. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure there are marketing teams on either side who their job is to make it confusing, to make you think that they are the only one, or SHRM is the only one, or whatever. So I feel for everyone who's trying to make that decision right now.
Yeah, it's tough. It makes it tough. Again, it was easier for me at the time. I only had one option, and then I was grandfathered into the SHRM, so it was easy. But for anybody that's entering now, it's alphabet soup, right? And we're going to talk about eligibility to make that part easy. But we just want you to know that you have options, and the problem is that you have options. But we're going to help you navigate through that. Jennifer, I don't know if you wanted to add anything in this particular part of the conversation.
Yeah, sure. Personally, as a professional, let alone as a preparation provider, I'm a fan of both. I see pros and cons to either, even, just from like the mechanics of the actual exam, whether it is the testing windows, whether it is the costs, whether it is how many questions are on the exam. But I'm going to echo something that Terry mentioned. And like Terry, I'm living proof of it. And Anthony, I'm also going to echo what you had mentioned. If you're torn, if you're undecided, and if you have the resources, because let's just call a spade, it's expensive. Like these exams cost a lot, but it is a tremendous return that anybody's going to get on that investment.
That's right.
But that aside, when you prepare, and a lot of people go into their preparations, not sure yet which exam they want to pursue. A very, very strong preparation approach, whether it's with a provider, whether it's independent, whatever is, your path, you got this. At the end of the day, HR is HR is HR is HR. I've certified with HRCI. I've certified with SHRM. You might be able to tell from my accent. I've certified in Canada. No, I do not come with free healthcare, but I can tell you that when you're equipped and when you really know your stuff, like you feel your stuff, you've made that emotional connection. So here comes those andragogy principles.
That's
you
right.
got this. And then you actually are going to do brilliantly to get that alphabet soup so that, you know what, check, you covered if you cross that potential employer, supervisor alike that is more HRCI loyal. Check, a little bit more SHRM loyal. You got this.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can go wrong either way.
I love it. Yes. I'm totally in agreement. Jessica, what you want to say?
I know. I was just going to say, okay, so bottom line for me, any certification is better than no certification, right?
Okay.
So number one, being certified, becoming certified, going through that process, getting that knowledge base, whether it's through HRCI materials or HRCP materials, HRCP/HRCI, it's all going to get you, it's going to make you a better HR professional, right? You're going to learn it. It's about the exam, I know, and the alphabet, the letters after your name, but it's also about learning this foundational important information to do your job better. Both of those will help you do that. As Terry already said, yes, you can look and see like what jobs you're looking at and what they're asking for. I will also tell you guys, I have literally walked beside now hundreds of people who are going through the process of earning an HR certification. And I can tell you that I have never once, as I'm working with and talking to these HR professionals, heard of a scenario where someone is requesting a particular certification and they won't accept the other. Like you're requesting a PHR, but you have a SHRM CP and they won't accept the SHRM CP as equivalent, right? Or vice versa. They won't accept the SPHR as a comparable certification to the SCP. I've never heard of that scenario, right? I've heard of people like there are places that request the SHRM or the HRCI over the other, but the other one will work just fine. So I wouldn't get that caught up on it. I would earn the certification as Jennifer was saying and Terry was saying, we have about 40% of our students who just get both, because then you're covered. And if you choose the right recertification resources like HR Education Network, I'm sure HR.com, HRCP now has micro HR and HR research. All of those will offer SHRM and HRCI activity codes, right? So when you're done, you print out your certificate. You've got both of the SHRM and HRCI activity codes. So you're killing two birds with one stone. So it's not that big a deal to maintain if you decide that's the right path for you. But again, not necessary. Any certification is better than none. And you choose what's right for you, what's right for your budget, what is right for your the jobs that you're looking at, your geographical area, and head down, power through, and make it happen. It will make you a better HR professional in the end.
So I want to transition to the next topic, knowing that we are your resource, right? If you need a conversation about this, any one of us will be happy, more than happy, to talk to you, right? So reach out to us. We're ready. We're ready to have that conversation with you, right? I love that answer, which because we're going to go to the next topic, which is which certification you should take. It depends. Your individual circumstance could have you evaluate whether or not this is the pathway for you, and if you were to go down this route, which route to go, and then as well as how best to do it on your own in a cohort, some on-demand like what does that look like for you? Everybody's different. And what I love about this panel is that we represent many different ways for you to be able to get to where you need to be great out in these streets, right? So I'm going to share my screen again. And if I can ask, I have a team behind the scenes, if they can amplify all the great resources that's in the private chat out for our folks, that'd be great. I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to talk about the alphabet soup. Which one should you take? HR or SHRM? Should you do APHR? Should you do which one? What should we take? And then you add on the requirements, y'all. You got to have education. You got to have work experiences, all that great stuff. Y'all like this? Y'all like this? This is just as confusing as the landscape, right? So let's break this down, y'all. So what I was going to ask if we can have more granular as it relates to the HRCI exams, more granular as it relates to the SHRM, and then we're going to wrap it up as it relates to, hey, which route you are to go. Terry, you are the honorary, definitely expert as it relates to HRCI. So can you take us through the requirements in general for HRCI, APHR, PHR, SPHR, and just reference its SHRM equivalent, and then we can go to the other side.
Yeah, you bet. So HRCI offers a entry-level credential. It's the APHR. A stands for associate. There are no work experience requirement for the APHR. Is a true position. The mid-career credential is the PHR, Professional and Human Resources. This will, and I don't have all of the requirements memorized, Anthony,
That's all right.
It's, if I remember right, it's 1 year of work experience if you have a master's degree, 2 years work experience if you have a bachelor's degree, and I believe 4 years of work experience if you have no college degree. The SPHR then is the senior level credential. With no degree, it is 7 years work experience. And this is where I'm a little fuzzy. 4 years with a bachelor's degree and 2 years with a master's degree, I think. Anyway, more years of work experience for the senior level credential. The SHRM equivalent of the HRCI exams, the SHRM CP is the lower level credential. It is fairly equivalent to the PHR, and the SHRM SCP is equivalent to the SPHR. If I were to take all of these exams in order, according to the level of difficulty that, in my opinion, other people may have a different opinion, it would be the APHR, the SHRM CP, the PHR, the SHRM SCP, and the SPHR, as far as level of difficulty. And the exams themselves differ a bit as far as the number of questions, the time limit that you're given. HRCI exams are offered year-round. You can take them just about any time, facility or online. The SHRM exams are offered in 2 different test windows throughout the year. They are also offered at a test facility and online. So there's deadlines that you need to be aware of if you plan to take the SHRM exams. If you plan to take the HRCI exams, you can pretty much take it anytime you want.
Awesome. And Jennifer, did you want to add in as it relates to the requirements?
Well, how do you top that? Like, the wisdom is just like infinite. The only thing that I guess, because I always have something to say, but I would just maybe add, funnily enough, earlier this year, SHRM has really opened up the floodgates, I found, and it was a pleasant surprise to the SHRM CP exam eligibility requirements. Forgive me if I'm covering something that you were planning.
That's exactly where I was hoping you would go.
Well, I see mind readers here. So I imagine that this was probably, a competitive kind of decision making, because historically, prior to their first spring testing window in 2022, which kicked off May 1, the SHRM CP prior to that had, just like what Terry was explaining, you have to balance your work experience with your with your educational accolades. And a lot of new entrants, that being HR professionals, into the space who really didn't have anything yet, but yet everybody deserves to start somewhere. Well, then they would gravitate towards the APHR, and it was almost like victory by default. So the SHRM CP now says, you know what? You want to become certified? You want to pursue a profession in the HR space? Come one, come all. And they've lifted what Terry had just described to be, that balancing act of years of experience blended together with your educational accolades. So now any new entrant into the HR space, maybe they don't have work experience to speak to. Maybe they didn't earn that educational, again, designation, what have you. They can choose between the APHR and they can choose between the CP. However, for anybody who is in that position, having taken both of those exams, my advice to you would be, do not underestimate the SHRM CP. There is still that component of, truthfully, even though the eligibility requirements have been lifted, they're gentler. There is a value add to having work experience, because these are situational, judgment-based questions. Do not underestimate the caliber, the monstrosity, the torture, like you pull your hair out of those questions. Whereas the APHR are knowledge and foundation based, and you're not going to need to inject, that judgment, which judgment comes with experience. So big fan of the SHRM CP. Yes. Don't get me wrong, but there's a reason, like Terry said, that the SHRM CP, the professional level exam, is more equivalent to the PHR, which is really its competitor counterpart.
Jennifer, thank you. Thank you. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. So this is my remix to all of this, right? Is that if you're just starting off in HR or just got a few years of experience, APHR is for you. PHR and SHRM CP is a huge bucket. If you're a talent acquisition specialist, a benefit specialist, a comp specialist, you coming from specialties within HR and you need to broaden your experience, PHR, SHRM CP is for you. If you are that HR assistant that's been in there for about 3-4 years and you're looking to upgrade to become a generalist, SHRM CP is for you, right? SHRM CP is also good for you if you are a generalist now, right? And you're not certified and you're looking to broaden your horizons. It's a great designation for you. Also, I forgot to mention these individuals who are HR adjacent, right? You're an office manager. You're the HR department of one. You own a business that HR is like, hey, is a component, right? APHR is for you, right? And now if you're looking to upgrade, right? I'm a generalist. I'm a BP. I'm looking to go to senior HR BP. I'm looking to lead a function. I'm looking to be... I look at PHR as you are the ones to get it done, right? Whatever needs to happen from an HR perspective, you are the one. Now you might have a seat at the table every once in a while, but the majority of your duty is to get it done and to get it done accurately, right? Now when you go up one more level, we're talking about the senior level. Now it's about planning. Right? You're at the decision table as decisions are being made as it relates to the business. And the business could be the HR function itself, or it could be the business as a whole, a unit that you're assigned to, but you're there with the people who have P&L responsibility, profit and loss, right? That's ideal of as where you want to go and you qualify, or you're there already. I find that, and Jennifer and Jessica, you could and let me know if you want. I find that people who are already in the seat, they do it for personal satisfaction, right? It's not like they're looking forward to go to the next level. They just want it. It's like, I've always wanted to do it. I wanted to do it when I was a generalist. I wanted to do it with it. Now just a check in the box exercise just to validate as it relates to that. Is that the experience you have from the people who are coming in at the executive level wanting to earn their senior level certification, Jennifer?
Sorry. Poor Jessica. She was ready to
ready.
Like I was ready.
Jessica, I'm sorry. I meant to say Jessica. She hadn't had
we've got the 2 J's too. It's super.
I know.
No, I was going to say absolutely. I feel like, definitely people, especially at that senior level. I think there's a certain amount of professional growth that people at that level are invested in, right? They want to be better. They want to be the best. They want to have the certification. The other thing though that we're seeing a lot of too is people, nothing is certain, right? You've been in your role, you've been in your job, you like your company, but that doesn't guarantee that will be the case into perpetuity. So I think there is an element of people wanting to sort of, plan for the future and, a layer of kind of protection, if you will, if you end up finding yourself in a job. There's a lot of look at what's happened in the last several months. There are a lot of people who rather unexpectedly found themselves laid off or without a job. And, now they're looking for their next thing. And so having that certification, even if you are already at that senior level and you're in a job that you like, having that certification means that if the unexpected happens, you're in a better position to find your next role, your next job. Or maybe it's someone who is in a job, they like their company, they like their role, but they're still looking for, the job, right? I think we've all been there looking for the job. And again, having these certifications is just one way to set yourself apart. So I just think that's another thing that we see a lot of people who are kind of preparing for the future, preparing for the unexpected, and also kind of thinking about what their ultimate goals are, career wise. So yeah.
I have to thank you, Jessica, and my apologies for the mix up there. But I want to bring Gail Washington had brought a good point up as it relates to. I think I made a reference that you get the certification where your hiring manager goes. That advice is of particular advice if you're looking to get into that company, right? You're looking to find a way that you can connect to the people who are making a hiring decision on you. Would I recommend doing it in general? Absolutely not. But if you're really trying to get into a place, what better way to connect to somebody than be like, you know what, I got the SHRM SCP just like you, right? As an additional item. But I'm going to read her entire statement. It says, getting a certification based on your manager certification can change as we change jobs. And so she recommends that we would hope that either would be acceptable, and I think all of us agree. Like HR is HR, right? Test for your level of education and work experience to justify it, like have the experience down your qualify for it, then take it and then showcase it. It shouldn't matter if it's SHRM or HRCI. Now, we all know, Gail, that makes sense. That makes sense. But when you go out to this real world and you trying to go somewhere, something just simple as, oh, she don't have SHRM. She don't got the SHRM one. We go to the next one. It happens. It happens. We want to have this equal like thing that's out there, but anything that make you just as marketable, that's what we're definitely advocating for, right? So thank you for your comment. Definitely fair as it relates to, oh, she's yelling over there. She's like, agreed. I know, right? Okay. All right. So let's talk about the next question is, how do you get support for this thing, right? Everybody's talking about, it's expensive. It's not too much money, all this kind of stuff. I'm going to share my screen real quick and let's have a discussion about that. And before we begin, we all are in agreement that when we talk to you, this is an investment, y'all. If you decide to go this way, this is not give a certificate away. Like that's not the way this works, right? You do have to invest your time and your resources in order for you to activate a return on investment on it, right? When I ask, when students come to me and they ask me about it, a lot of the conundrum is around, I think one, and I would love to talk about this as it relates to, in particular, the SHRM study materials, the SHRM Learning Center. That thing is $800 by itself, right? I think that's the cost, right? And I think what happens is if you just see that, you apply to the rest of the world and say, you know what, HR certification and the process again is too expensive. And what I'm telling you is that there's other ways in order for you to do it more affordably and with support. And that's what we want to talk about. There are other ways in order for you to gain the support you need to obtain your goals. But regardless of method, you have to invest in this. This is you have to invest in it in order to get a return on investment, and the return is worth it. And I will tell you that if it wasn't for my employer for buying the learning system of the day back in the day, I wouldn't have got it either. But I asked the question, can you support me? And they say, you know what, you're in HR. Yes, why not? Now, I didn't have the benefit of a class. I didn't have no cohort, nothing like that, right? It was just me in the books, right? And nobody in my household want to talk about succession planning and calibration process. They don't want to talk about that. But I will tell you that in studying by myself, coming from the benefits world and not knowing anything else, I was married to those books. I was married to them like it was like ACT, SCT, trying to get into it. And it has just served as the foundation for me. And we are here to tell you that there's other better ways in order to do it. And you can still get promoted. You can still get in these spaces and meet your earning, your quality of life that you want and make a positive impact. All right, so let's talk about that. Jessica, Stephen, why don't we start with you? Because I love the fact that HR Mavericks is this. It's free, y'all. Why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, I mean, getting a certification is a major endeavor, and it's not easy. And so I think like anytime you're going to do something hard, you need a community around you. So that's people who are next to you doing the same hard thing, a cohort, like Anthony mentioned, and mentors. So it's someone who's done it before. There are mentors on this panel, and then there are peers probably in the chat along with mentors. So find a community, build your own personal community, find the person and, find a mentor and say, hey, I'm going to take this test and will you help me when I have questions? And then find people who are also taking the test and connect with them and say, hey, we're going to do this together. We can study together, whatever. You can build your own community. And I think HR Mavericks is one community you can join to immediately kind of start networking with some of these people that you could, have a support network with. There's plenty of other HR communities, and just starting by connecting with each of these panelists on LinkedIn, the people in the chat, and reaching out to them and sharing your goals with them, I think is huge. When it comes to the cost, yeah, absolutely try to get your employer to foot the bill. If you're already employed, go to them, share with them the resources, like all the data that says, this is going to make me, a better professional. I'm going to be able to handle these responsibilities now that I couldn't do before. Really build the case and get them to pay for it, because it's an investment for them too. So that's what I'll say around support and making it happen.
I think you're muted, Anthony.
Yeah, okay. I was leaning in too. A lot of HR people, and I hear it all the time. I don't want my boss to know my business, blah, blah. I don't think they're going to support me, blah, blah. I'm telling you, lean into your own investment in your own self. It starts with you, right? If you want to go ahead and pay all that extra money out of your pocket when you could have this get covered underneath tuition reimbursement or through a learning program, you're not making the best use of. In fact, you might want to reconsider where you at. If you have to think about that, right? We are HR people. We are the ones that's providing resources to other people for them to develop. Why can't we do that for ourselves? Don't make it complex as it relates to your company. At a baseline should have an investment in its HR department to be able to grow and develop. Start there. Jennifer?
Gaining support. I'm thinking actually of like two different kind of perspectives. There's maybe support amongst your team. Maybe you're preparing with a team, which isn't uncommon. We're seeing, at least like within our community, that quite a few HR teams, quite a few organizations are coming to us and saying, customize a course or like help my batch of 5, 6, 7, 10, 20. We've put upwards of over 100 people through a program simultaneously. So I'm thinking about that kind of support. And then there's independent. Independent, truthfully, is what we see more commonly. So I think, just to speak different from what you've mentioned, Anthony, and Stephen's comments, I would just say this. Have that hard conversation with yourself and ask yourself what you need. And be realistic. Be real. Like, own your real truth, meaning we're all very, very ambitious. Every single time I'm about to go and embark on new learning, because I'm a perpetual student myself, I'm thinking, oh yeah, I got this. I can do a self-paced program, or no problem. Like, who needs sleep? What a concept. And then I realize, no, I actually need the white glove service. I need to be accountable to somebody. So have that hard conversation with yourself and ask you, what do you need in order to be successful? Do you need to be surrounded by fellow professionals and think out loud? And, really enjoyed that. Oh gosh, the words are escaping me. Vicarious learning, where you can, have a sounding board and learn from other people's scenarios and examples, what have you. Do you need space? Maybe you have a really hectic lifestyle and you can't be committed at any one time and day and what have you. So make sure that you support you too.
That's right.
That would be my advice.
I love it. I love it. Terry, you have anything you want to say to this?
Yeah, we deal with those who are trying to get certified on a dime and others who have the the full support and commitment of their organization behind them. The exams themselves range anywhere from $400 up to $595. And that's, you're not going to find discounts very often on the exam itself. And so that's a cost that's already going to be there. And so the variable would be how you prepare for the exam. You can go on Amazon and buy some cheap textbook. It may not cover everything that you need, but there's always that route. I've heard of people going to the library and reading textbooks on human resources. One of the things that you do want to be aware of in your preparation is you want the most current information. You're tested on legislation. You need to know current law. And so leaning towards prep material that is specifically designed to help you prepare for the exam is going to lend you the most support and preparation in that. And just for example, our material, we have online material that is on the lower cost, and then you can take prep courses that cost over $1,500. And so there's a big variety of options as far as being able to afford the material. And then you've got anywhere from self-study up to a fully face-to-face prep courses that are available. And so there's a lot of options available. If you need help finding what would work for you, any of us on this panel can talk that through with you and help give you some guidance and some direction with that. And I know that HR.com and HR Education Network both have forums or LinkedIn groups where you can interact with each other and have that support of others who are preparing. You can also find Facebook groups. There's a number of different ways to work with others who are going through the same process to find that help and that support that you need.
Yeah. And I definitely want to say that is our approach at HR Certified. We have a white glove approach. You have a coach, you have a facilitator, you got a class, you got a community, you got the full shebang. But that's not for everybody, right? But if you need a guided approach, white glove approach, a curated learning journey, like you go all the way up to that, to going on Amazon and getting the book, right? And everything in between. But what works best for you? How do you make the best use of your time? And more importantly, how can you apply what you're learning as you're learning to be great today? Because there's no other opportunity you can think of, regardless of class, workshop, or whatever, in which you have the entire body of knowledge in front of you. Because what's expected of us HR professionals is that we have to be flexible. We are thrown into situations that we do not have a checklist for. And that learning opportunity is a way for you to be prepared. Prepare. Thank you for that. All right. It looks like we are running up on time. What I wanted to say is to thank all of you for attending, for taking the time out. We hope I know that there were more questions than that, but I think we may have hit on every topic. So with that, I'm going to have our panelists, and I meant to get Jessica before she left, to give us some parting words to those that are kind of lost in this journey, how you can help, and any words of wisdom and advice. Stefan, why don't we start off with you?
Yeah. Just I'd say take a step back for a second from all the certifications and kind of the things that you know you need to do, and you want to get the letters and get that next job, and just think about yourself and the skills and the knowledge and who you want to be and who you want to be in your career. And just, don't focus more on yourself than on the certification. Yes. So I think you can have a very successful career even if you fail the test on the first time or the second time, or you don't have the money yet, right? like focus on yourself and your career first, and the certifications will eventually be a part of that, I think.
I love it. I love it. Terry?
I would recommend, if you are on the fence and you don't know which direction to go, or even if you've made the decision and still don't know which direction to go, get on a call or send an email to any of us on this panel. Stephen's given some great advice. Figure out what you need for your career. Where do you want to go? And then have a conversation. We can answer your questions and provide some at least things to think about, things to consider, options to explore. And where you can do it, you can make it happen. And we can help you find ways to make that happen.
Yeah, I'm putting a link in there. Stephen had talked to a good point about make sure that you're doing this for the right reason and that you maximize your investment. There's a Forbes.com article that I wrote as it relates to the way to maximize your commitment to professional development. It's in the chat. Please take a look at it, regardless of what your outcome is, regardless of whatever your next professional development goal is. Take a look at it, because you want to maximize the time on the money and the effort that you put into this. Jessica.
Yes. Okay. A couple of things. One, I know this has been said, but you guys, right now, the name of the game in just the general like landscape of the world is employee retention. And part of that means employers have to invest in their employees. So please, 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 if certification is something you are considering, ask your employer if they will help you, if they will pay for some of it, if they will help you in terms of your time commitment, whatever it is that you need, ask your employer. Right now, they are looking for ways to keep employees and to keep them happy. And that is one way to do it. So ask the question. Okay.
That is a perfect segue to my next thing. And you may not know this. Our next event is about retention.
Oh, yay!
It is about all the strategies necessary. That is the theme of 2023, y'all. If you don't know it, you need to write it out. How do you retain your top employers? You didn't hear me when I didn't say retain everybody. Retain your top talent. That is how you can add value today in this world, COVID and everything else. Because guess what? The playbooks that we were using, don't throw them out the window, right? People are leaving, and people are trying to think that they just covering up with money. That's not really the issue why people are leaving, y'all. You might get them to be excited for about 5 seconds. It looks good on the check. Then that inflation kicks in, and then you're like, you know what? My boss really do suck. And really do, like we have to go past surface level and go deep. So that's our event for next month. It's about retention, y'all. And again, thank you, Terry. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Jessica. And I hate that Jennifer had to log off from HR.com, but we do hope that we reduce the barriers in order as it relates to deciding whether or not HR certification is for you, what you would need to do if you have additional questions, and then for you to be able to really maximize your benefit of your return on investment by going this route. We thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, everyone.
Talk to you soon.